Good morning, fellow traders. Black Coffee Trader coming to you here on Monday morning. Welcome to March the 2nd. And what are we looking at? This market, in my opinion, is definitely in a bearish trend. We are definitely trending lower, kind of a stair-step lower approach on NQ over the last couple of days, and maybe we had to have this little liquidity grab to fuel the continued downside move. So we'll see if that is the case, or if the NQ or this market in general does one of these nasty, bounces right back up into the range. We are kind of double bottoming right here. Does that mean we push right up into this area and things get a little bit more nasty? Very much a possibility. But I think we have to play the cards that were dealt, and what I'm looking at right now personally is a pop and fade. I'm looking for pops and fades at one of these areas. We do have the big daily 200 moving average sitting right here below price on the NASDAQ. I think one of the better shorts really today would be, do we get a pop into Friday's low of day for further downside? If you do that, you do have nearly 200 points from that low into that daily 200. If we lose the daily 200 moving average and we do lose this area around the 24,500s, I do think that's where the wheels come off and we get a free fall into some of these lower areas. So that, I think, is the easiest look, is do we get some kind of a pop and fade in these areas? And really, it could be the low of day from Friday. It could be the low of day from Thursday. It could be this triple bottom low here that we had early last week. It could be any of these areas. We might get some kind of a pop and fade and reaction. We just have to be careful and be aware that we do have the daily 200 moving average sitting right there around the 24. Where's the exact number? It's sitting right now at basically 24,600. So that's something to be aware of to the downside. But beyond that, it looks pretty clean as far as getting further downside move on the NASDAQ. Upside moves, what are we looking for? I'm not really excited about upside. I mean, you could take it, you could take a long above the Thursday low, and you might be able to get something up into this a high of day from Friday. I mean, there's an opportunity for, this possibility. You're longing up into these, this high, this high, this high, and this overnight high we had between Thursday and Friday. So you're longing into some major resistance. You're also longing into this low. I think this might have been a Wednesday, but you're longing into that, and you're longing into that daily 20. So that's the caution. There's enough space there that you definitely could set up a nice long, but it could just, this thing could just go up and get a smackdown off of this level. So something to be careful about, but there could be a long right there if the setup is there. So anyway, looking like the bears are in control. That's what it looks like right now. That may change as we go out throughout the rest of this week. Looking at news this week, probably should have done this earlier, but today we have ISM manufacturing PMI at 10. Tomorrow there's really nothing. On Wednesday we have ADP non-farm employment change. It's usually a pretty big one at 8:15. We have ISM services PMI at 10 o'clock, and then on Thursday we have unemployment claims at 8:30. That's a big deal. And then Friday, we have some big pre-market news. At 8:30, we have average hourly earnings. We have core retail sales, non-farm employment, retail sales, and unemployment rate. So there's a lot of things happening this week other than tomorrow. And maybe, that may make a difference in how this market reacts and what we do over the next couple of days. So, but that's the gist of the NASDAQ, at least what we're seeing right at the moment. Yes. Pretty similar picture. I should have mentioned also, I did rechart a bunch of my levels. I went to the 4-hour chart and I eliminated almost everything and then recharted it this morning, 4-hour and 1 hour. And so I do have a few different levels than if you looked at my updates from last week, but that's just something I like to do periodically as things kind of get jumbled or we get a bit of a trend shift. And not that this is a huge shift, but it does appear like we've really tried for further upside, and it looks like we're bleeding lower. I sometimes like to just go through, scratch everything, and restart, and that's what I did. So, yes, pretty much the same picture. It's for me, I'm looking for a pop and fade. I'm looking for, a pop up into these lows from Friday. Do we get a pop and fade opportunity there? Is it the Thursday low right here? Why is this? This is not. Something's missing on my charts. that little thin area is supposed to be Friday. Not sure what's going on there. I might have to reload my charts. But anyway, do we get a pop and fade here? Do we get a pop and fade from this low from Thursday? That is the Thursday low, unless I'm totally smoking something. But anyway, let's just go back and check. Now I'm curious. What's going on with my charts here? So if you go to the NASDAQ, yeah, the big sell-off day was Thursday, Friday. Yeah, I'm missing data. I'm missing data on my ES chart. I'm going to have to reload my Ninja Trader, but that's okay. So we're looking for a pop and fade off of the Friday low. We're looking for a pop and fade potentially off the Thursday low. And this, I think, from what I'm looking at here, just talking to you guys, this is my pivot point where if I look for a long, it's the Thursday low of day. Do we break above that for a move to the upside? You have a small little move up into there on ES. You have a bigger opportunity on the NASDAQ, but you're also longing into the daily 20 and the daily 100 on ES. So again, I think the downside looks a lot better. Do we get some kind of a pop and fade? If this thing just continues to go, that may be a little bit more difficult. The pop and fade might be a little bit better. Or you may get a pop, a fade, and then a retest of that level around the 68, the 68.10s. That would be a very, very clean look, and probably almost cleaner than just shorting the pop. But it would be if you get a drop back down and retest that level for continued downside. But anyway, I think the picture is pretty much the same. You've got a lot of resistance here to the upside. You've got that daily 20, you got the daily 50, you got the daily 100 sitting above price. Daily 100 and the high of day from Friday is pretty much right at the same level this morning. So that's your resistance to the upside. So I do think, again, I think downside is the look that we have to take on ES. Dow Jones, very similar picture. Again, this is as well. I mean, it's very, very clear. We tried to make these highs. We have a little bit of a head and shoulders look here. We tested that again on Thursday of last week, and now we have just kind of continued to slide lower. So, we'll see. Again, I think the same thing. We can pretty much make the same analysis across the board this morning. I'm looking for a pop and fade at one of these levels. From an upside perspective, I think we have to get above that daily 20 or the daily 50 right here, which would be the low of day from Thursday and Wednesday of last week. If we can get above this area, that may set up a long on the Dow Jones. But again, you're longing into the daily 20, which was a resistance area on Friday. Not Friday. That would be, this is Friday, Thursday. And then you're also longing into this resistance up here. So, I mean, the best long would be a break of that area. And I talked about that last week, but we just didn't get it. So, again, I think downside is the case. And if we get back up into this range, things could get a little nasty in this area. Just make some difficult trading. On the Russell, again, just like the rest of the indices, it's the same look. It's actually pretty clean this morning. We're looking for downside. That's really what we're looking for. You've got a pop and fade opportunity here, kind of a mini pop and fade off the Friday low. I think the Friday low is the big one across all the indices. If we get a pop and fade there, that's a good look. You've got the daily 20 or the daily 50 sitting above price here. So you might get a pop and fade off the daily 50 and off of this low that we have coming in around the 2630s. So you might get something there to the upside. I think, again, you'd have to get above the Wednesday, Thursday low of days. If you can break that to the upside, you've got some opportunity there up into these highs. The problem area is you have the daily 20 moving average sitting right here. So again, best long on the Russell as well is getting above these major highs that we had and getting above that Thursday high. If we do get above that, that may give us some breathing room to the upside. So, matter of fact, I think that might be the Thursday, and I feel like I'm missing some data on my charts, and maybe I didn't set my levels properly, because the Friday high of day should be somewhere here. Yeah, I didn't set my levels, so I may have to go back and redo that. Sorry. So some of this stuff may be, did I set the levels? Yeah, see, the Friday high is in there. So apparently it didn't save if I did that on the Russell. But anyway, it's really a downside look. We're looking at the Thursday, Friday lows. Thursday, Friday lows is where it's at. Do we break and reclaim those levels? If we do, if it's a break and reclaim of the Thursday, Friday lows across all the indices, then we're looking for maybe some upside, which is going to be difficult. If we pop and fade off the Thursday, Friday lows, then we're going to look for downside. And I think that's the cleanest analogy you can make. That's the NASDAQ. That's ES. That would be right here. This is your zone. Do you get pops and fades there? Do you get a reclaim of that level? If that's the case, we're going to see upside. Dow Jones, very similar picture. Here's your downside look, the Friday low, the Thursday low. There's that. And then if we flip that, obviously then we're looking for upside. Yep, same analysis occurs there. And then the Russell as well. Here's the Friday low. We get a bounce off of the pop and fade off of that, and you look at the Thursday low right here, pop and fade there, or if we get above this area, then we're looking for the long. So yeah, that's it. That's the analysis. It's the Thursday, Friday lows. Do we get above? Do we reclaim those levels? If we do, it's upside. If we don't reclaim those levels, we got downside. So that's the look this morning. We'll see what this market holds. So looking at the intraday on the NASDAQ on the 1 minute chart, you're trading right below that area. Right here's the daily 200. So this is a nasty area. We do have to break that probably for continued downside. So, but it does look like we're getting a rejection off of this, the 24,600 area, 24,700 area, 680,700. So definitely a close watch today. We'll see what this level does and see what this area does right in here. And that'll tell us probably what this market's going to do today. So best of luck out there. Trade well. Put some green on the charts. And we'll catch up with you on the next one. Thanks for following along. Take care.